All right, good morning. So today I want to talk about embodiment, right? Taking the ideas, any ideas, taking the framework of ideas and turning them into lived experience. So this week I've been talking about kind of seeing through the veil of mortality. So we talked about yesterday, seeing through the veil of the self. But these are ideas that can get a bit abstract, right? They can be a bit brittle. And so, what is it to have a framework, have a construct of practice that is embodied? What is the embodiment of the practice? What is the embodiment of the framework? And it does turn in on itself a little bit, because one of the key aspects or imperatives of practice is the meditation, moments of meditation. And there's a posture associated with those practices, whether it's the formal seated position, whether it's opening up or bowing down, whether it's a gesture of contemplation or of supplication, imagination, gratitude. All of these come with a naturally felt behavior within the body. And I would suggest that this is not something to diminish or trivialize, that the way that we hold ourselves, our bodies, suggests an attitude towards the self, our process of being, which in turn suggests an implementation or manifestation of those ideas. We exude this, right? We are, as conscious beings, right, as humans, we are constantly absorbing and producing. Literally through metabolism, we absorb food and we exude waste. We breathe in and we breathe out, and we consume perceptions and those perceptions can be shaped, of course, right? We have neuroplasticity, so it's very important that the content that we put in at least aligns with the output that we want to exude. So we walk through our lives breathing in and exhaling out and leaving behind like a trail of poetry. And I mean poetry in a very broad sense here, perhaps even the word aesthetics, perhaps even aesthetics is a better use. We exude aesthetics. And I want to take this word aesthetics a little bit out of normal use. I want to hijack it a little bit, and I want to use the word aesthetics within the context of practice, and use it to refer to our immediate sort of noisy. I want to use it to refer to the artifacts of awareness, right? Which could be the noisy, unthinking side, right? Or it could be the deliberately cultivated, deliberately creative acts, or it could be the conduit of our natural awareness and natural mobility through the cosmos. And I've tried to say this in other videos, but that conduit is not obscure. It's not occult. It's not occluded. It's not something that is held only for a few privileged mystics. It's available to all of us. And so when I use the word aesthetics, I'm referring to the not a commentary on creativity or on experience, the two words that I tend to use interchangeably. So aesthetics is not necessarily a commentary, but aesthetics is an immersion. It's a feeling. It's a content. It's a context. It's a aesthetics are the extrusion or the exuding. They are not the same word, right? Extrusion is pulled from you, and exude comes out, but maybe they're both relevant in this condition. As we move through space and time with fantasies, narratives that we're holding, those are exuded behind us like sort of a glittering chemtrail. Not chemtrail, that makes me sound like a conspiracy theorist. The contrail, right? As a plane goes through the atmosphere, water condenses on the wings and you see the trail behind it. We leave the same kind of trail in the aesthetics of our lives, and these are noticeable even if we think that we're just imagining something, right? There's a shared experience of humanity, and that this is a manifest experience. Am I getting to the point here? The point is that, don't ask me to come to a point. You should know by now that I'm not a point kind of person. There's a lived experience. That lived experience is malleable in every level. I just drank some coffee. I'm changing my lived experience. Right? Before that, I was writing in my journal, and the act of writing down words on a paper shapes the way that I'm thinking about things. In some ways, writing on a journal page, writing on a page, is the prototypical act of manifestation. Because before that, your thoughts and experiences exist in such an ephemeral existence that it's only when they're written that I can really, I know this is true for me, only when I write do I really come to understand what I'm thinking. Okay. Manifestation, conduit, lived experience. Everything that I talk about here, whether it was Terence McKenna or the principles of practice or confronting mortality, confronting the vectors of scale, always want this to come down to a level of lived experience, meaning embodiment, meaning we should feel a certain way. We should feel a graceful access to the lived experience. And I would argue, or I would suggest, that that is a good measure, a good heuristic to apply to any teaching. As you open up, as become a conduit, a framed, stable practice, and again, stable practice can be literally the condition of sitting on a cushion, or it becomes the framework of a broader discipline within the 24 hours of a day. So you have the framework of the practice, the conduit, and then exuding meaning. If you don't get an actual physical sensation, then I would question whether the teaching is either correct or the right one for you right now, or maybe check your understanding. this the really should be uh, all of that framework, all of that ideation uh, resides within the lived experience. It has to. Uh, that's why we're manifest. That's why we are mortal. That's why we exist. And ultimately, then, that is why, like I was saying yesterday, why that moment ends, the moment of our passage, the rotation of our experience through time. All of that comes together into this lived experience. We can use things like music or other physical practices like fasting or even hard exercise. Again, none of this is occult. You've all experienced this. I guess what I'm asking is to just include those known experiences within the context of your spiritual discipline, and don't isolate the sensations of the body from the experience of or from the understanding of awareness. There's a virtuous cycle between the two, and for sure, at the end, there's a rainbow body or an ascension or some final moment where the distinction maybe becomes more relevant. But for today, think of each act of your body as a manifestation of aesthetics, and think of aesthetics as this halo of creative activity that every single person, every one of us is exuding this information, these experiences, and they can be shared. And they are a conduit. Mm-hmm. Take that, think about that, and we can talk more about that, because I think there's a lot of implications about that conduit. That's where the necessity of ethics comes in, right? Because I think that conduit is, well, I go back and forth on this. Is the conduit neutral, and we study and struggle to apply ethics so that we are free from regret, free from remorse, free from entanglements? Or is there actual implied ethics in the cosmic awareness? And ethics in that sense would be incredibly foundational, like compassion, kindness, hope. Don't lie, don't steal, don't kill. Just really primary, fundamental imperatives. I kind of get the feeling that this precipitant consciousness in the universe contains those fundamentals. But I'm getting a bit beyond myself when I make statements like that. All right, good. I imagine there's a lot of questions about this one. I know I have a lot of questions. So drop me a comment, and then tomorrow, Thursday, is the weekly Q&A. And I'd love to have some feedback and see if we can clarify some of this experience. So with that, keep your wits about you, and I'll see you here tomorrow.